Hello everyone, this is Take from bigheadtaco.com and welcome to BHT Studios. I'm here to do my shooting review of the brand new Fujifilm XF16F 2.8 RWR, aka the newest lens in the, as I'd call it, the Fujicron lineup. It's not an f2, which many of us were hoping for, but it is falls in the spirit of the 23f2, the 35f2, and the 50f2. It's compact, it's light, it's quiet, the focus is quick, and the pricing is reasonable. And so let's check out this new lens. I had a chance to take it with me to Hong Kong, and that's a great city to be able to test an ultra-wide lens for street photography. And so let's start the review now. I actually did forget to mention that I also had the 16f 2.8 coupled with the new XT30, and if you look at this kit, this is quite a compact, light combination. I know many people who have all the Fujicrons, the 23, 35, and 50, are thinking that they would buy this lens to kind of complete the package of these compact light lenses, but it is a field of view that you have to get used to shooting, and if you're not comfortable shooting 16mm, then probably this probably isn't a lens for you. But I do recommend, like, if you have access to a 16 to 50, the XC lens, or the behemoth XF16 to 55 f2.8, or even the 10 to 24, and shoot at 16 and see if you can get used to it, because it is in the old film days. In my unboxing video, you saw that I have both the 24mm prime lens equivalent to this in both manual focus film, SLR, and autofocus film. So to me, this is a very comfortable field of view for me. A lot of photojournalists, those are doing documentary editorial work, it's, you know, it goes wider than the 28 or the 18mm in the APS-C format. And so it's about getting close, it's about working within a confined space, and you will see throughout this video and in my intro as well that that's kind of what I tried to do, is to not only have a subject matter, but not trying to isolate them, but really have them embedded within the environment. And to do that, you need to frame well, because finding a horizon line or something to sort of anchor the photo, you need some kind of a straight line or some kind of an interesting sort of a line or something that really makes the image dynamic. And then having a person in there for street photography makes the image, it really kind of ties the whole image together. And so it is a little bit more difficult to shoot with this lens for street if you're used to shooting with something like a X100. And I'm actually shooting this video with the X100F, and it may seem like an unusual camera to use to shoot video, but I'm doing so because I only have so many Fuji cameras. And so typically I'll be using the X-T3, which I've already returned back to Fujifilm, and I'll have a full review of that coming up. But the X-H1, so this is my personal camera that I have and I own, and I usually use this to shoot video, but I'm showing this because this was my kit while I was in Hong Kong, the 18 to 55 on the XH1, and I shot this mainly for, I had a lot of video projects, and so this was B-roll camera as well as the talking head camera, and also kind of shooting for myself, and for review I had the XT30 and the XF16. And so shooting with these two very different cameras, this is super light around my neck, you don't even realize you have this camera. And I didn't do the weight or weigh in, I'm sure it is heavier than the XF, the X100F, but it's probably only slightly heavier, and you just kind of don't notice this camera. And if you are going hiking or you're shooting street and you want something light and compact, there's a lot of X100F and X70 shooters out there. Fujifilm X80, I'm telling you, X80, this is a great combo if you can shoot in this field of view, in the 16. And so I waited to shoot with it in Hong Kong, because in Vancouver, I was using this more for like architectural and sort of an urban street, you know, pictures without people in it, because you do get that perspective distortion. It's not optical distortion, it's perspective distortion as you get close to the subject, but there are times when you can use that sort of like a photojournalist and you kind of get in tight into your subject. But this lens here, a lot of people thought I would compare this with the 16-1.4, and I wrote an article for Fujilove, and it's on the website now, saying basically there's no point because the 16-1.4 is Fujifilm's one of their sharpest, most well optically corrected lenses, and for those of you that have that lens, you probably wouldn't be happy with this lens because optically it's not up there. And the contrast between the 23 f2 and the 1.4 and the 35 f2 and the 1.4 and the 56 1.2 and the 50 f2, but the difference in IQ between those two lenses, the fast prime and the Fujikron, and this, I think this is the greatest contrast. That lens is just out of this world. And if you have that, and if you're using for video, and you're using that shallow depth of field, and you want separation, although you're going ultra wide, then that's the lens you should be shooting. Really, what I was comparing this was if you have the 16 to 55 f2.8, so you're a pro shooter, you want beautiful image quality. Would you want to carry a lens like this, knowing that you are getting a step down in image quality? This lens is sharp in the center, a bit soft on the edges. You're getting chromatic aberration wide open. You have to stop down to f4, 5.6 if that's something you're concerned about. Shooting at night, it was no problem for me. I'm not looking for ultimate sharpness or ultimate resolution. If I was, I'd be shooting with the GFX system, but this is a competent lens, stop down, just like the 23 f2, which is my favorite prime lens in the Fujifilm lineup. But compared to the 23 f1.4, it's just, there's no comparison. But I love the compact size, I love the weight, I love the quiet autofocus, great for video. And my videographer actually did shoot a video with him talking about this lens, and I might embed something now, or I might just release it as a separate video, but he also loved this, and he shot an entire video, a street photography shootout using this lens, and you'll see how he used it as a videographer. But he liked it because he did some sort of handheld pans shooting at 120 frames per second, and he said carrying that 16 to 55 f2.8 was just too heavy, and it was just nice to have a compact light prime like this to shoot that type of b-roll that he was doing in handheld. And even for me, I found that when I borrowed that 16-55, I just didn't like it. It was just too heavy. Now the 18-55 is a great lens. It has image stabilization, has a great focal range from 18 to 55. But sometimes you just want that little bit wider. And so what I did do on this trip was I did mount the 16-8 on the XH1. So clearly it's not as compact or light as the XT30. This has IBIS, and it has a much larger grip, much quieter, more dampened shutter buttons, very feather light touch shutter button here versus this feels a little bit clunkier. The EVF on this is a consumer grade EVF. This is a professional grade EVF. So just even sort of the shooting enjoyment using the XH1 was there when I mounted it with the 16 f2.8, and in the end I felt that I got better pictures. But as a caveat, I was out there specifically reviewing this lens, and if I was concerned about size and weight, I wouldn't couple it with an XH1. I had the XH1 again for video and for other work that I was shooting, but this lens will work great on any of the Fujifilm bodies. If you want something light and compact, this XT30 is just a great combination. But if you want to put this on the XT3 or the XH1, and specifically the XH1, because it does have IBIS, you have that extra benefit of having it stabilized. Because those of you that wanted this f2, it would have been nice to have that extra stop speed. Well, with this, you gain, extra 4 or 5, I don't know how much stabilization you get with this lens, but let's just say it's about 4 stops of stabilization, and you can see that in some of my photos. It's just pin sharp even at slow shutter speeds. I didn't worry about me shaking. I know it doesn't stabilize, IBIS does not stabilize your subject, but it stabilizes you. And so confidently I would go out at night shooting with the XH1 and the XF16. And so overall, my conclusion, if you shoot in this focal length and you want something compact and light, you want a Fujikron type performance at a reasonable price point, this lens is really hard to beat. This is what people talk about the ecosystem of Fujifilm. If you shoot Sony, if you shoot other formats, Fujifilm gives you a nice selection of pro-grade lenses, pro zoom, pro primes, and as well these Fujicrons, these lighter, compact, still well-built, optically sound lenses at a really good price point. And so if this field of view, the 24mm equivalent, is something that you enjoy shooting, then this will be a great lens in your lineup of Fujifilm lenses. With me, I like this field of view too, and if I had to choose between a 16 f2.8 or the 16-1.4, I would definitely pick the 2.8. And in terms of optical quality, 16-1.4 superior. Even the 16-55 2.8, in many ways, it is superior. It is a sharper lens, and it just looks crunchier. It's hard to explain, but the penalty is size and weight. The 16-55 f2.8, the lens alone is heavier than the 16-2.8 on the XT30. So that really shows you it's a pro-grade lens, but you pay for it in size and weight. And this thing here, just what a great combo. If this is something you're looking for, I think you should go for it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a comment if you have any questions or an opinion. And if you enjoy this video and this channel, please don't forget to subscribe as well as tell your friends. And so more videos coming out. Sorry for my infrequent videos, but more will be coming out. Thanks for watching and happy shooting. Peace.